The pavilion was decorated with red and white checkered tablecloths. Balloons tied to every picnic table. The Roberts family reunion held every summer at Riverside Park. 63 relatives. 3 generations. Enough potato salad to feed an army. I stood near the drink cooler alone. The position I'd occupied at every family gathering for the past 6 years. My sister Jennifer held court at the center table. Designer sundress. Perfect hair. Surrounded by cousins who hung on her every word. "So the Miami property closes next month," she announced. "Then we're looking at the Bahamas investment. Building a portfolio, you know." Aunt Linda clapped. "Jennifer, you're amazing. Only 29 and already a real estate mogul." "It's all about vision," Jennifer said, flipping her hair. Uncle Tom raised his beer. "Not like some people who just make up stories about success." He looked directly at me. "Right, Melissa?" Jennifer called across the pavilion. "Want to tell everyone about your imaginary tech company again?" Laughter rippled through the crowd. I took a sip of lemonade. Said nothing. "Come on," my cousin Brad joined in. "Tell us about your billion-dollar contracts. Or was it trillion this time?" More laughter. Jennifer stood up, walked toward me. The crowd parted. She loved an audience. "Your imaginary success is pathetic," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Stop pretending. We all know you work retail. There's no tech company. No contracts. No money. Just you living in that sad apartment making up stories to feel important." She turned to the crowd. "Should we tell her we know the truth?" "Yes," several voices shouted. "We looked you up, Melissa. Online. Social media. Public records. There's no company registered in your name. No business licenses. Nothing. You're a cashier at Target. That's it. That's your big success." The family erupted in agreement. Nodding. Laughing. Pitying. Aunt Sarah approached, her face exaggerated sympathy. "Honey, it's okay to be ordinary. You don't have to lie to us." "I'm not lying," I said quietly. "Then prove it," Jennifer demanded. "Show us this company. Show us contracts. Show us anything real." I looked at her. Really looked at her. The designer dress I'd seen charged to a credit card that wasn't hers. The jewelry that appeared on statements I was monitoring. The confidence that came from money she hadn't earned. "Hey," I said. I pulled out my phone. "Check the time. 2:47 p.m. Right on schedule. You'll have proof in about 3 minutes," I said. Jennifer laughed. "Oh, this should be good. What, you're going to show us a fake website you made?" "No." 2 men in dark suits appeared at the pavilion entrance. They scanned the crowd. Made eye contact with me. I nodded. They approached. "Melissa Roberts," the taller one said, holding up a badge. "That's me. I'm Special Agent Michael Chin, FBI. This is Special Agent Patricia Valdez. We've completed the investigation you requested 14 months ago." The pavilion went silent. Agent Chin pulled out a folder. The investigation revealed $480,000 in fraudulent loans, 17 credit cards, 8 store accounts, and 3 mortgages, all opened using your identity between 2019 and 2024. He turned to face the family. "We have warrants for the arrest of Jennifer Marie Roberts, Sarah Ellen Roberts, and John David Roberts for identity theft, wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit financial fraud." Aunt Sarah's face went white. "What? Oh, there's been a mistake." Agent Valdez stepped forward. "Ma'am, we have documentation. Bank records. IP addresses. Security footage. Signed loan applications with your handwriting. There's no mistake." Uncle John stood up from his table. Started walking quickly toward the parking lot. "Stop right there," Agent Valdez called. "Federal agents are stationed at all exits." Uncle John froze. Jennifer's confidence evaporated. "Melissa, what is this? What did you do?" "What did I do?" I said calmly. "I noticed fraudulent charges on my credit monitoring alerts. I investigated. I found a pattern. And I contacted the FBI." "You're lying," Jennifer hissed. "You don't have credit monitoring. You don't have credit." Agent Chin opened his folder. "Ms. Roberts, Melissa, has an 847 credit score. One of the highest we've seen. She discovered the fraud because she has sophisticated monitoring on all her accounts due to her security clearance. Security clearance? Aunt Linda whispered. Ms. Roberts holds a top-secret/SCI clearance with the Department of Defense, Agent Chin continued. She's the founder and CEO of CipherGuard Solutions, a cybersecurity firm with $63 million in annual government contracts. The fraud was discovered when one of the fake credit cards was used to purchase items that triggered her clearance review. The silence was deafening. Jennifer shook her head. No, that's not possible. I checked. There's no company registered. Under her name, Agent Valdez interrupted. The company is registered under an LLC structure for security purposes. Standard practice for defense contractors. But it's very real. He pulled out a tablet. Showed it to the crowd. This is the Department of Defense Contractor Database. CipherGuard Solutions. Active contracts with the NSA, DHS and DoD. Melissa J. Roberts. My cousin Brad's mouth hung open. The investigation began 14 months ago, Agent Chin continued. Ms. Roberts provided us with her financial records, security clearance documentation, and evidence of the fraud. We traced the stolen identity usage to 3 individuals. He looked directly at Jennifer, Aunt Sarah, and Uncle John. Jennifer Roberts used her sister's identity to open 12 credit cards and 4 personal loans totaling $287,000. Sarah Roberts used it to secure a mortgage and 2 auto loans totaling $156,000. John Roberts used it for 5 credit cards and a business loan totaling $37,000. That's a lie. Aunt Sarah screamed. I would never. We have your signatures, ma'am. We have surveillance footage of you at the bank. We have the IP address from your home computer where several applications were submitted. We have testimony from a loan officer who identified you from a photo lineup. Uncle John started running toward the parking lot. 3 agents in tactical gear stepped out from behind a pavilion building. On the ground. Now. Uncle John dropped to his knees. Hands behind his head. The family reunion descended into chaos. Started 6 years ago. I'd just gotten my master's degree in cybersecurity from Georgetown. Graduated top of my class. Got recruited immediately by a defense contractor. I called home excited. Mom, I got a job at Booz Allen Hamilton. That's nice, honey, she said absently. Jennifer just got promoted to assistant manager at the boutique. We're so proud. At my first family reunion after graduation, I tried to explain my work. I'm developing encryption protocols for classified communications. Uncle Tom interrupted. That sounds complicated. Jennifer's managing 12 employees now. Real leadership. At 25, I started my own company. CipherGuard Solutions. Specialized in cybersecurity for government agencies. Won my first contract, $2.3 million. 6 months after launch. I told my family at Christmas. I'm a government contractor now. I just signed a multi-million-dollar deal. My dad looked skeptical. Multi-million? Melissa, don't exaggerate. I'm not exaggerating. It's a $2.3 million contract with DHS. Jennifer rolled her eyes. Sure it is. I'm buying my first investment property. That's real money. Real assets. Everyone congratulated Jennifer. No one asked me another question. At 26, my company grew. 3 contracts. $8.7 million in annual revenue. I hired 6 employees. Moved into a real office in McLean, Virginia. At the next family reunion, I brought photos of the office. Look, this is my company. Cousin Brad glanced at them. Looks like a regular office. You probably just took these at work. You know, the place you actually work for someone else. I own the company, I insisted. Right? Aunt Sarah said, patting my hand. It's good to have dreams. I stopped bringing it up. By 27, I had security clearance. Top secret/SCI. Required for my NSA contracts. The background investigation was intensive. Financial history. Family interviews. Everything. I had to list all my family members. Occupations. The investigator asked about Jennifer. Your sister. She listed her occupation as real estate investor? That's what she says. And her income? I don't know. She doesn't talk specifics. He made a note. Moved on. At 28, I noticed something odd. A credit monitoring alert. A new credit card had been opened in my name. $15,000 limit. Capital One. I didn't open it. I called the bank. There's been a mistake. I didn't apply for this card. Our records show an application was submitted online from IP address 198.51.100.42. Is that your address? I checked. It wasn't. No. That's not me. I can flag this as potential fraud. Please do. I thought it was a one-time thing. Identity theft happens. But then it happened again. Another card. Then another. By the time I was 29, I'd flagged 6 fraudulent accounts. That's when I hired a forensic accountant. Ms. Roberts, he said during our meeting. This isn't random identity theft. This is organized. Someone has access to your social security number, your date of birth, your mother's maiden name. Everything. Family. I asked quietly. Possibly. The IP addresses are clustered. Northern Virginia area. Several match addresses in Sterling and Ashburn. My family lived in Sterling. Jennifer lived in Ashburn. What should I do? Document everything. Report it to the FBI. This is wire fraud. Federal crime. I sat in my car after that meeting. Thought about Jennifer's new car. Aunt Sarah's new house. Uncle John's suddenly successful consulting business. Thought about how they all dismissed my success while seeming to have plenty of money themselves. I called the FBI. Special Agent Michael Chin took my case seriously. Defense contractor with security clearance, he said. Victim of identity theft. We take this very seriously. If your clearance is compromised, national security could be at risk. I don't think it's that dramatic, I said. You work on classified projects. Someone using your identity could theoretically use it to access secure facilities, impersonate you to gain information or compromise your clearance. This is serious. He assigned a full team. For 14 months they investigated. Traced every fraudulent account. Tracked IP addresses. Pulled bank surveillance footage. Interviewed loan officers. We have 3 primary suspects, Agent Chin told me during a briefing. Your sister Jennifer Roberts, your Aunt Sarah Roberts, and your Uncle John Roberts. My stomach dropped. All 3. Jennifer opened the most accounts. 12 credit cards, 4 personal loans. She used your identity for everything. Sarah used it for mortgage fraud and auto loans. John used it for credit cards and a business loan. How did they get my information? Your sister had access to family documents when you all still lived together. Your parents likely had your social security card, birth certificate, everything. Jennifer used those to establish the fake accounts. Then she shared the information with Sarah and John. Why? Money. Jennifer's been living beyond her means for years. The real estate investments she talks about. Funded by credit cards in your name. The Miami property? Doesn't exist. She's been using photos from real estate websites, claiming she bought them. I felt sick. Sarah's house? Mortgage in your name. She's making the payments, but the loan was secured using your credit score and income documentation they fabricated. John's consulting business? Funded by a $37,000 business loan in your name. He's been defaulting. So they've been destroying my credit? Actually, no. That's the strange part. They've been making minimum payments on most accounts. Keeping things current. Because if your credit tanked, they couldn't open new accounts. It was calculated. Systematic. They were using me as their personal credit line while publicly mocking my success. We can arrest them whenever you're ready, Agent Chin said. But I have a suggestion. What? Your next family reunion is in 3 months. Let's wait. Arrest them publicly. Make an example. This kind of familial fraud is epidemic. We need deterrence. You want to arrest them in front of the entire family? Yes. With your permission. I thought about 6 years of mockery. 6 years of being called a liar. 6 years of watching them use my identity while dismissing my actual success. Hey, I said. Let's do it. Back at the pavilion, Aunt Sarah was being handcuffed. This is a mistake, she screamed. I'm a schoolteacher. I don't commit crimes. Ma'am, you committed mortgage fraud, Agent Valdez said calmly. That's a federal crime. 10 years maximum sentence. Uncle John was face down on the ground, 3 agents securing him. His pockets were being searched. They found multiple credit cards. These are all in Melissa Roberts' name, one agent noted. I can explain, Uncle John stammered. Save it for your lawyer. Jennifer stood frozen, watching her accomplices being arrested. Then she turned to me. You did this. You vindictive. I reported identity theft. I interrupted. The FBI did this. Federal law did this. You committed crimes, Jennifer. Multiple felonies. I'm your sister. You used my identity to fund a fake lifestyle. You opened $287,000 in fraudulent loans and credit cards. You made me look like a liar to our entire family while literally stealing from me. Agent Chin approached Jennifer. Jennifer Roberts, you're under arrest for identity theft, wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit financial fraud. You have the right to remain silent. As he read her Miranda rights, Jennifer's perfect facade crumbled. She started crying. I didn't mean. I just needed. Everyone expected me to be successful. So you stole your sister's identity to fake it? Agent Valdez said. That's your defense? Jennifer had no answer. They led her away in handcuffs. The family stood in stunned silence. My mother appeared from somewhere in the crowd. She'd been quiet during the whole scene. Melissa, she said. Did you really? Did I really have them arrested for stealing my identity and committing hundreds of thousands of dollars in fraud? This mom. I did. But they're family. Family doesn't steal from family. Family doesn't mock someone for 6 years while using their identity to fund a fake lifestyle. We didn't know, Aunt Linda said weakly. You didn't want to know, I corrected. I told you about my company. My contracts. My success. You all decided I was lying because it was easier than believing Jennifer was the fake one. Agent Chin approached. Ms. Roberts, we'll need you to come to the field office tomorrow to sign some final paperwork. Of course. He handed me a folder. This is documentation of all the fraudulent accounts, recovered funds, and restitution orders. The 3 defendants will be required to pay back everything plus penalties and interest. You'll be made whole financially. Thank you. He lowered his voice. For what it's worth, I'm sorry this was your family. No one deserves this. I appreciate that. The agents left with Jennifer, Sarah, and John. 3 cars. Lights flashing. The family reunion was over. People started packing up. Quickly. Quietly. No one knew what to say. Cousin Brad approached cautiously. Melissa, I'm sorry. We should have believed you. Yes. You should have. Is it true? You really own a cybersecurity company? Yes. And you have $63 million in government contracts? Annual contracts? Yes. He looked sick. We've been making fun of you for years. I know. Why didn't you prove it before? Show us evidence. I shouldn't have had to prove it. You should have believed me. Or at minimum not mocked me. But you all chose to believe Jennifer's version because it fit your narrative better. Aunt Linda joined us. Melissa, honey, we made a terrible mistake. You made a choice. There's a difference. Can you forgive us? I looked around the pavilion. At the faces that had laughed at me. Mocked me. Called me a liar and a fantasist for 6 years. I don't know, I said honestly. Right now, I'm just processing that 3 family members used my identity to commit federal crimes while you all stood by and watched them mock me. We didn't know about the crimes, Uncle Tom said. No. But you knew about the mockery. You participated in it. You encouraged it. And none of you, not one, thought to ask if maybe I was telling the truth. My mother finally spoke. What can we do to make this right? Nothing. There's nothing you can do. The FBI will handle the legal side. I'll handle the financial recovery. And I'll handle my feelings about my family in therapy. You're going to therapy? Mom asked. I've been going for 3 years. Since the reunion where Jennifer told everyone I was delusional and you all agreed. Mom's eyes filled with tears. I gathered my things. I'm leaving. I'll cooperate with the investigation. But I don't want to see any of you for a while. How long is a while? Aunt Linda asked. I don't know. Maybe never. I'll let you know. I walked to my car, a Tesla Model 3. Paid for with money I actually earned. As I drove away, I saw them in my rearview mirror. Standing in the pavilion. Lost. Confused. Processing the fact that the family disappointment was actually the only successful one among them. The legal process moved quickly. Jennifer, Sarah, and John were all offered plea deals. Federal prosecutors had overwhelming evidence. Jennifer pleaded guilty to 14 counts of identity theft and wire fraud. Sentenced to 42 months in federal prison. Ordered to pay $287,000 in restitution plus penalties. Sarah pleaded guilty to 6 counts. 28 months prison. $156,000 restitution. John pleaded guilty to 8 counts. 18 months prison. $37,000 restitution. Total restitution ordered. $480,000 plus $127,000 in penalties and interest. I'd never see most of it. They didn't have the money. That was why they stole in the first place. But I didn't need it. I had $12.7 million in my personal accounts. My company was thriving. I just won a $47 million contract with the NSA. I was fine. 6 months after the reunion, my mother called. Melissa, can we talk? About what? About everything. About how wrong we were. About how we treated you. Okay. Can I come visit? I'm in DC for Jennifer's sentencing hearing tomorrow. I hesitated. Then agreed. Fine. Coffee. 1 hour. We met at a Starbucks in McLean. Neutral territory. Mom looked older. Tired. The weight of having a daughter in federal prison. How is she? I asked not because I cared but because it seemed like the thing to ask. Struggling. Federal prison is. It's hard. She committed federal crimes. I know. I'm not excusing it. I'm her mother. I worry. I nodded. I came to apologize, Mom said. Really apologize. Not because I want something. Just because you deserve it. Okay. We were wrong about you. Completely wrong. You built something incredible and we dismissed it. We believed Jennifer's lies because they were more comfortable than your truth. Why were they more comfortable? He thought about it. Because Jennifer was easy to understand. Pretty girl, charming, talked a good game about real estate. We understood that. But you were quiet. Technical. You talked about encryption and cybersecurity and government contracts. We didn't understand it, so we decided it wasn't real. That's lazy thinking, Mom. I know. And I'm sorry. Truly sorry. We sat in silence. I looked up your company, she continued. Really looked it up. On the DoD contractor database. On federal spending sites. Real. It's impressive. You're impressive. Thank you. Can I ask why you didn't fight harder to make us believe you? Because I shouldn't have had to fight. You're my family. You should have believed me by default or at minimum given me the benefit of the doubt. But you chose mockery instead. And I chose to stop trying to convince people who didn't want to be convinced. That's fair. Is that all you wanted to say? No. I wanted to say I'm proud of you. I should have said it 6 years ago. I should have said it every time you tried to tell us about your success. But I'm saying it now. I'm proud of you. The words landed softer than I expected. Thank you, I said quietly. Is there any way we can rebuild this? Our relationship. I don't know, Mom. You spent 6 years making me feel invisible. Making me feel like a liar. That's hard to come back from. I understand. I'll wait. However long it takes. If it takes forever, I'll accept that. I appreciate that. We finished our coffee. Hugged awkwardly. She left. I sat there for a while after thinking about family. About success. About the cost of both. A year after the reunion, I'm 31. CipherGuard Solutions is valued at $340 million. We have 87 employees. Contracts with every major intelligence agency. I'm engaged to someone who saw me from the beginning. David. A fellow defense contractor. He knew about my company on our first date because he'd competed against me for a contract. I lost to CipherGuard, he'd said. Your solution was better. I wasn't even mad. He never questioned my success. Never doubted my abilities. Just saw me. Jennifer is in year 2 of her sentence. Federal prison in West Virginia. Mom visits monthly. I don't. Sarah got out after 18 months. Lost her house. Lost her teaching job. Lives with her parents now. We haven't spoken. John served his time. Moved to Arizona. Started over. Sent me a letter apologizing. I haven't responded. The family still has reunions. I don't attend. Emma, A younger cousin who never participated in the mockery sends me updates. They talk about you, she told me recently. They feel bad. They wish you'd come back. What do you think I should do? I asked. I think you should do whatever makes you happy. You don't owe them forgiveness. You don't owe them anything. That's what I think too. My mother and I talk once a month now. Slowly rebuilding. She asks about my work. Actually listens. Asks follow-up questions. I saw CipherGuard mentioned in the Washington Post, she said last week. Article about cybersecurity contracts. They quoted you. Yeah. We're expanding into AI security. That's exciting. Can you tell me about it, or is it classified? Some of it's classified. But the general idea is we're developing systems to detect AI-generated phishing attempts and deepfakes targeting government officials. That's incredible, Melissa. Really incredible. Thanks, Mom. Your dad would be proud. If he were still here. Dad died 2 years ago. Heart attack. Sudden. I went to the funeral. Gave a eulogy about his good qualities. Didn't mention the 6 years he called me a fantasist. Maybe, I said. He would be. I know he would. Maybe. But I'd never know for sure. That was the cost of their disbelief. They missed 6 years of my success. 6 years of my life. That time was gone. 2 years after the reunion, I sold a minority stake in CipherGuard to a private equity firm. $180 million valuation. I retained 73% ownership. My stake was worth $131 million. I was 32 years old. Worth over $140 million personally. I told my mother. No one else in the family. By God, Melissa, she whispered. Yeah. And they called you a liar. They did. I'm so sorry. I know, Mom. I know. 3 years after the reunion, I ran into Cousin Brad at a conference in D.C. Melissa, he said, shocked. I didn't know you'd be here. I'm keynoting tomorrow. Cybersecurity panel. You're keynoting? That's amazing. Thanks. We stood awkwardly. I owe you an apology, he said. A real one. What I said at that reunion. What we all said. It was cruel. Yes. It was. I'm sorry. Truly sorry. There's no excuse. No. There isn't. Is there any way to make it right? I thought about it. Brad, you're not the villain. You weren't leading the mockery. You just went along with it. But going along with cruelty is still participating in it. I know. If you want to make it right, here's what you do. Next time you see someone being dismissed or mocked for their success, especially by family, you speak up. You don't go along. You defend them. Even if it's uncomfortable. I can do that. Good. That's all I ask. We shook hands. Parted ways. I never heard from him again. But I hope he meant it. 4 years after the reunion, I'm 33. CipherGuard Solutions has expanded internationally. Contracts in 12 countries. Revenue approaching $400 million annually. I'm married now. David and I had a small ceremony. 50 people. Close friends. Mom came. Jennifer sent a letter from prison. I didn't read it. The family still talks about that reunion. According to Emma, it's legendary in family lore. The day Melissa dropped the truth bomb, she calls it. The day the FBI arrested half the family, I call it. Both versions are accurate. I don't regret it. Not the investigation. Not the arrest. Not the public exposure. They committed crimes. They faced consequences. That's justice. What I do regret is the 6 years before that. The years I spent trying to convince them I was successful. The energy I wasted on people who didn't want to see me. I should have walked away sooner. But I didn't know then what I know now. You can't force people to see you. They either do or they don't. And if they don't, no amount of evidence will change that. They have to want to see you. My family didn't want to see me. They wanted to see the failure they expected. So that's what they saw. Until federal agents showed them the truth. And by then it was too late.